Okay, just as a formality, I guess as the vice chair, at this point, I'm running this meeting.
So do you have the camera going?
Okay, we do not have a quorum, so we will not be voting on anything. We will, I guess, at this point, we'll listen to what Chief Middleton has to say about his proposals.
Okay, thank you very much. Here this afternoon to talk about a police recording system. This system, it records for our 2 911 lines that come into the police station. It records our telephone system that comes into the police station. It records the police radios, and it did record the fire radios. Okay, so that's what the recorder does. In December, the recorder stopped working. I reached out to RevCord, which is out of Houston, Texas, and they loaned me a recorder to continue recording until we could get one purchased. That was several months ago. We're still using their loaner. Okay, this is a, if you're not familiar, we are a 911 PSAP. What that means is we have 2 911 lines that is answered in the village. When you dial 911, and if you're on a cell phone, it goes to the nearest tower, wherever that tower is. It may hit in the village, it may hit outside, depending on which tower is working and which signal goes to that tower. Okay, eventually we hope that it gets transferred back to the village if that's where your emergency is. If you have a hardwired telephone and you're in the village, it will come to the 911 PSAPs inside the village, and it'll be answered at our dispatch. Okay, so we have 2 of those lines that come in. All right, so we're required by Arkansas law, and that's attached on the back page, the state law, that we record all of these calls that come in to this 911 center. And we have to maintain these calls for a period of at least 180 days. And that means that we have to maintain the date and time, the nature of the problem, and the action by the telecommunicators. Okay, so this system that we have, when the call comes in, it starts recording, and it's broken down by minute and second, very precise. We can go back and get instant playback. We can go back and listen to each and every call that comes in. And it's a very useful tool for the dispatch to get that instant playback. So if you can imagine a very excited caller, we had one today that calls in, I need help, they're killing each other. And we thought, people, but it was dogs, she was excited. And I need help now, and they hang up. Okay, you may not get the chance to get all the information you need, so you can hit instant playback and go in and listen again to see exactly what all was said during the conversation. Okay, so it's a really good tool. Also, the fire department went to a digital radio system a while back, and we did too. We were having so much problem with our analog system that I updated our radio system to digital, but I've not been able to utilize the digital system because the recorder that we have loaned to us will not record digital. So we're using analog. So the new recorder will record analog, and I'll be able to get us and the fire department back on the record. Yes.
It'll record digital.
It'll still record digital. Actually, it'll do both.
Okay.
That's one of the requirements. It has to record both, and she assures me that it will. Because the fire department, there again, when they need to go back and check run times and okay, which truck checked out first, or who was that called in first, we can't do that because we can't go back and pull up the recordings because they're not being recorded. So it complicates things for us. So this will help us clear those up. the instant playback is something that really works well, but I use this a lot because of citizen complaints. When you call in and then somebody says, your personnel was rude to us, man, it's great to pull up the phone recorder and listen to see just how rude they were. And then you call the people in and say, come on in, and let's sit down and talk about this. Let's listen to this tape and let's see how rude they were. And when you play it back to them, is that you? This is the person you're talking to? Okay. And when they hear the conversation, they realize that maybe it wasn't exactly like what they thought it was. Okay. So it's a really great tool for that. And then we use them in court proceedings because when we do have a court case, they always subpoena all of our records, and they subpoena the radio logs as well, the radio recordings, because there's information there that's very critical to the case. And liability-wise, that's very critical too, because as they say, the tape will tell the story. And you know, it tells you as it happens. So it's very critical that we do have a recording system in place. So I appreciate any consideration that you give to purchasing this recording system for us.
And this, as I think you mentioned to me, it was in the,
Yes, it's the two, well, both things that he's brought forward are the two bolded line items on the capital spreadsheet, right underneath the yellow highlighted one. So sorry, it's not quite clear, but it's the bolded ones. The one he's talking about now is replace phone recording software for police department, in parentheses it says required for $15,000.
Right.
and Chief, this hadn't come before the board before now?
No, this was tabled early on for some reason. We've had the money, it's been in the budget.
Well,
It's
it's
on
because it's in the
this,
budget, I mean, the money's there, but
it's
I get
green
you.
lined on this, which
Yes.
was handed out.
Right.
Yes.
For whatever that's worth.
And was it tabled with the new board, or was it tabled with the old board?
Prior, in the early days, it was put on hold, and it's been on hold, so, I mean, and there again,
Okay,
But being a requirement and that you're loaning it, did they have an expected date back, that they want it back?
well, it's not fair to them to keep using their loan.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is proprietary information. I did go out to other vendors and talk about other systems, but if I go to a different vendor, I lose all my information that's on this recorder because it's proprietary. And then the price is pretty much the same, so, I mean,
well, and I assume our cash flow is still
Yeah.
adequate? Okay.
And this came in at $10,729 with a budget of 15.
right, so we're under budget,
Okay.
so.
Then the 30,000 for the software, that's still,
That's the next item that
Right.
he has.
Yeah,
yes.
that's a separate issue.
Well, and the reason, I just want to make sure there are no previous motions or anything that
No.
were made on this by the board that we need to go back and look at, because if it's
No.
already been approved, then we need to know that.
No, sir, this has not been brought to the board at any time.
Yeah, okay, great, thank you.
Couple of routine questions.
Sure.
How old was the current system?
Actually, it's been replaced once, and I'm not sure what year the 911 was put in. The first system we had was a used system that was provided by the county, and we bought the second system, and it lasted until December of last year, and I'm not sure how old it was, but it was
That's
quite
fine.
old too. And I don't know how long this system would last,
Yeah,
but,
yeah. You just said it stopped working and.
It did.
If it's that
it just
old,
quit. I mean, it just quit, you know.
It died of old age.
It died of old
Okay.
age, and unfortunately, when it dies of old age this time, we couldn't recover anything was on there. I mean, it just quit now. I don't know whether, there again, you don't know whether lightning comes into play sometimes, because we have storms and so forth, but,
Assuming you replace this, and I'm pretty sure you will, what kind of performance guarantees or future lifetime?
Well, there again, there is a maintenance agreement that we're also going to take with this. That will be an additional yearly cost that will be budgeted. So there will be a maintenance agreement.
Do you know about what those costs are?
I have that, do you have that with you, Karina?
Yeah, it says the first year is $279 for the maintenance. And with the 24/7 help desk, remote monitoring, updates, next day on-site report, for the term of it is $1,398.70.
Per year?
Per year.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were some things happened. There was a company called Voice Products that was buying this product and subcontracting, so to speak, selling their product, and then there was a split in the companies, and they no longer supported it. And now RevCord, it went back to them, and there's some things there going on, but it's still the same product as we used before.
Is the GM aware?
Yes.
All right, I mean, we need 5 to vote, but is there any reason we wouldn't want to recommend to the rest of our committee that they move this forward?
Well, at a high level, it says required by state
Well,
law. And we basically, we're borrowing somebody else's equipment.
Because we have another audit coming up before.
Yes, and yeah.
What's up?
I'm surprised it didn't get and take care of as part of that audit, so that's why I was a little bit surprised.
I mean, fairly high on our list of, priority list should be,
Making sure we're in compliance.
yeah, compliance with state law or any other law that happens to be.
Seems like it did.
I have put out a few requests, but I'm not going to go into that either,
Yeah.
so.
Okay. Anybody need anything else from the chief?
That was the easy one.
Yeah, part 2.
Part 2.
That was easy to explain. This one's a little more complicated.
Yeah, well, it's more costly too, right?
It is. That usually equates, doesn't it? So the PTS upgrade. All right. We were audited by ACIC, that's the Arkansas Crime Information Center. Also the NCIC is the National Crime Information Center. Those are companies, they have all the driver's license information, criminal history information, things like that. So it's information that is proprietary there. We cannot share that with civilians. It's information that has to be protected, and that was part of the audit. On the second page, and this is from their audit, and these are the things that they found us to be in violation. And PTS is the company that does our reporting system, our PTS, the computer-aided dispatch system. So we're talking about 2 companies working together here. One's a reporting system and one supplies information and works with this company. So the CAD system, the CGI log on the very left, do the applications used to access, transmit, or store the criminal justice information log that follow. So the second column is the ACIC, and they're wanting to know, does it successful and unsuccessful log attempts? So when people go into your system, does it log those attempts of people going in so that we know that our information is secure? So that only certified people who have access to our information are the ones going in there to attempting to get this information. Okay? And the current application we have does not grant that security system, that level of security. So we have to get that upgrade. Is successful and unsuccessful password changes. The current system we have does not guarantee that level of security. So we have to get that the next level up that does guarantee that level of security. Successful and unsuccessful attempts to access, create, write, or delete, change permissions on a user file directory or other system. So if someone goes into our report system and tries to make any changes, does it log and make note of who that individual is and do they have the clearance to do so? Our system does not. So ACIC says this system must meet that requirement. Okay, so all these things that they've asked, they require for us to be able to use their ACIC and NCIC system to protect their information so that people who are not allowed to have access cannot get that access. Okay, so that's what this means. Your system, or our system, does not meet their requirements to use their information in our system. So we have to get our reporting system upgraded so that we can use their information safely. So we can guarantee them that people who do not meet the requirements cannot get access to it. Okay. So when I run a license plate number and it comes back to one of you, I have to guarantee them that someone who does not have that access cannot get that information, is basically what it's saying. You know, I'm a certified police officer, I've been to school, I've been trained, I have the certifications to say that I can get that access, where a civilian does not have that access. So this is saying I guarantee that this system will protect that.
What are the penalties from the ACIC if we're not in compliance with this kind of stuff?
Well, number one, they will pull our ability to use the ACIC, which means that we will no longer have the ability to run license plates. We'll no longer have the ability to run criminal history checks. It pretty much puts us out of the police business because everything we do revolves around using ACIC, from running stolen property, running guns. And I gave you a whole list here: driver's license information, warrant information, wanted person, officer safety notices. If I stop someone, it'll tell me whether they're a homicide suspect, you know, officers beware. I mean, we use this, every officer that I have uses this many times a day during their work. So it's a very important tool that we use, and without
So
it.
you're telling us that if we don't upgrade this, we're not going to have access to that?
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. Because we'd be in violation of their rules, and I promise you, they won't let us use it. So,
When was this audit?
It would have been the one that was done this last year.
yeah, this last year, and I have an email over there that says it should have been corrected immediately, but we told them that due to budget, there
Well,
again, it should have been done January 1.
Okay, so the audit was
It was
prior
in
to January
2019,
1?
yes.
Yeah,
And I have an email from our person who's responsible for us that says you need to do it immediately.
Yeah.
But
that was the point of the
So-
question.
Right.
How long have we been bad
the
boys?
deadline is as soon as we can do it.
Right.
We don't ask too many
I know.
questions we don't think we don't know the
I know.
answer to already, so.
So my answer is as soon as we can make it happen, we should.
Yeah. Okay.
So it is a very critical part of our infrastructure, so.
Comments?
Yeah,
Just like the last item, we can't vote on it, but I can't even begin to come up with a sliver of a reason for you
you're right.
not to get.
Yeah. Chief, is the urgency of this such that it needs to happen before the next board meeting? I mean, we haven't done it so far, and we're in September. So my preference would be that we put it on the October board meeting, but
I would appreciate it
How long,
as
will-
quickly as you can get it.
and how long will installation take? Because
Well, there again, yes,
We'll
and
do
with
another
COVID
audit in
going on,
December.
I don't know, you know, when the product will be available and when the installation could take place, because, I mean, that's got everything, you know, backdated now too, so
well, it's
I
like
don't know.
Tom's talking, I can't imagine you wouldn't get approval for this kind of stuff, so.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
you
just
can
a
go
matter
research
of
it.
how we proceed with it. we have to make a recommendation to this committee, who makes a recommendation to the board,
Sure.
which we can do by email, so.
Whatever you can do for me, I would greatly appreciate it.
It seems as though fast-tracking this might be a little bit wise.
I have waited so long now, fast tracking would be greatly appreciated.
So by 2022, you will have.
Wait, you're being a little optimistic here.
That's right. Anything else?
Any other questions, and you can shoot me an email if anybody has any questions.
Yeah, I think we just wanted to hear directly from you as to
Right.
make sure we understood what it was that you were asking.
Right, these two items here are very critical for our infrastructure, our PD. So,
Thank you.
all right, thank you.
Can I ask one more question?
Sure, absolutely.
Why'd you wait this long?
It has been a process. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, good enough.
Catherine, you just have to love to embrace bureaucracy.
It'll never happen, and I apologize, but
There's
Thank
good,
you.
there's good bureaucracy and not so good bureaucracy. I will make a statement as to.
Or there's not so good bureaucracy and really bad bureaucracy.
Well, I was trying to be nice, but,
Yeah.
and I'm running by the seat of my pants most of the time, so.
that works. Okay, I imagine that's the capital approval. I don't have an agenda, so.
Well, yeah,
So I'm making this up as I go along. At this point, we usually just have these, well, whatever you call it, the two
Work group.
initiatives, work groups, one being budget and one being the planning. At this point, I represent the planning, so. This has nothing to do with the work group, but since we just did a capital approval thing, remember our friend, the red, yellow, green sheet? Ours is pretty out of date. Were you planning on updating
We can
that?
provide you a current one.
That would be terrific.
Yeah.
I have two requests. Number one is on the left side. Can you put line item numbers? Just 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. The second is, I would love it if I could get a copy in Excel just so I can,
Yeah.
sort it. And if you're gonna send it to me, you might as well send it to like everybody in the committee. Okay. Now for the, our planning efforts. One of the topics that we are investigating is addressing what we affectionately call the maintenance backlog, the legendary maintenance backlog. Right now, we're using the 2020 operations and maintenance tables. As part of the budget, we are crossing our fingers hoping that it will be updated and part of the 2021 budget package.
For the 3-year O&M? Is
Yeah,
that
the
what you're
3-year
referring
O&M.
to? We are reviewing, I've given the general manager everything that was in the past and asked for him to consult with the board and everybody else to find out what
Mm-hmm.
modifications we want to make to that, or if we want to include everything in the past or add anything new, or
Okay.
to kind of sort that out. But
Okay. Well, as
I'll
long
follow up
as,
on that one.
as long as, it's, looks like last year, 1 year forward, that would be greatly appreciated. The only request I would have is, the last column is labeled beyond, and no one knows what beyond means. So either there should be a clear definition of what beyond means, or from my standpoint,
drop it.
no, I wouldn't drop it. I would say if you could just add 4th year and 5th year, that would be appreciated. But yeah, otherwise beyond isn't that useful.
Yeah, is that beyond 20 years from now?
Right. I mean, the problem is everybody is probably answering the question, differently.
Probably.
Yeah,
4 years plus.
yeah, 4 years plus. It could be 4th year, it could be 4th through 6th, it could be forever, and no one knows. Okay. as Kathy mentioned, we did meet yesterday on the topic of internet, and I think we made excellent progress. And I don't know that we plan on having any further meetings, so I think at this point, we haven't had time to debrief, but maybe we'll just work on what we think an appropriate set of goals are. Just as probably a heads up, and this is probably necessary that I say this, one of the recommendations during the meeting was that we, for lack of a better term, hire an employee to sort of lead the internet initiatives. So that would have budgetary impact. I don't know that we need to hire somebody, but I would phrase it in terms of identify, appropriate resources. But at this point in time, it's not clear to me that we are awash in excess resources of the appropriate, qualifications.
Seems like that might be a fallout under the IT kind of structure that
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think is being considered.
Right, and given that, I really don't know what the staff structure is, so it's, but clearly, in the discussion, the necessity of having an employee really, spearheading everything, and everything is really very complicated. So it's a very messy job, put it that
So
way.
we need a really good project manager for this.
That was what Keith's pitch really was, so. But anyway, we have to work on what goals associated with that is, but very early on, it's get a point person, okay. We also last week met with some representatives of the marketing department, Paul Sage, Kevin Sexton, and Ray Lehman. Unfortunately, the meeting, because of scheduling, was very brief, so we didn't get very deep into it. One of the next steps is to meet with the real estate community. So any thoughts or comments on?
You need to contact David Taylor at
Okay.
Taylor Realty.
Mm-hmm.
He is the current president
Okay,
of the Board of Realtors. And Lynette Galbraith will be the incoming president.
okay.
I'm happy, because I'm on the Board of Realtors, I'm happy to give you intros or set something up
Okay.
if you want me to.
There are two ways that we envision this happening, which is either we set up a separate meeting for whoever the right participants are, or if you have regular board meetings, would it be appropriate if we were just, occupy an hour of the agenda and just ask very general?
I can find that out for you, and
Okay, that would be fabulous.
we won't, our typical board meeting is the second Tuesday of every month, so
Mhm.
at 9 a.m.
Well, that's actually pretty good timing, because it's pretty late in the month.
Yeah.
Okay, at what time, 9 a.m. did you say?
9 a.m.
Oh, okay.
May I ask, would it be advantageous, kind of a both of you, I know this is our committee, but to include the Chamber of Commerce head? Would he have input that we might need or not?
Personally, I think it's never hurts to have community leaders like that
Mhm.
involved, because they may have a perspective on it that we didn't think about, so.
Okay. So in terms of action plans, it sounds like you will contact David
I will.
and see what works best.
Yeah, I'll get back in touch with you and let you know. But I
Okay. Thank you.
think they'd be more than open to putting you on the next agenda.
Okay, that's terrific. And
Yeah.
the most important tool is usually a whiteboard, so. So other than that, I think our job is to just ask the question, what do you think
Right.
we need to be in 3 years and what goals do you have? And then listen and just write stuff down.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I believe October 14th, Paul has a meeting with the brokers of the different agencies here where they're talking about the POA lead program.
Mhm.
So you may want to reach out to him and find out if that's something that maybe somebody wants to sit in on.
Yeah, right now Paul is like out of town, so he's, that's one of the issues we have, just arranging meetings with Paul. We did meet with Paul, he did mention that, and I guess he said sometime toward the end of the year, they have their little draft. And
Well, I think their
ping pong balls.
I think that meeting is set for October
Right,
14th, so
right, so,
just a kind of FYI.
he did mention that, okay. And that's kind of where we are, isn't it? Do you have anything you want to add, Ken? No,
Other than Tom's doing it himself, but he's doing a great job.
I am not doing it myself, so.
He's a good leader.
That's good. Can you bring us kind of up to speed
Yeah.
on where you guys are on the budget?
As far as budget goes, we have set up schedules, we have set up the meetings for the review with the divisions for the general manager and accounting. As soon as those done, we're gonna try to get, the presentation scheduled to the Finance and Planning Committee, hopefully the first week of October. That would allow for us to still have a week or so before revisions have to be done to be presented to the board. I did want to kind of go over, I've got everybody getting me their input for the fee schedule back. Forgive me, and I'm trying to figure all these pieces out as we go. The fee schedule needs to be approved before budget is approved.
Correct.
Because it's gonna dictate a lot of the revenue stream.
Earlier this year, we'd said that it probably needed to be approved by the October board meeting.
Okay, that was my goal. I just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure that I was thinking about the process correctly. So they're supposed to have all of that back. We'll finalize that up within the next couple of weeks, and we'll have that ready to present.
As you know, there's the thinkable process and there's the doable process, so hopefully they can come together.
Well, I think pretty much most of it has already been in the works, so let's hope it all comes together pretty good.
Okay, good.
But other than that, that's kind of where we're looking at it. Most of the divisions already have their input in, so now we just need to start doing the review.
So the next order of business for this group will be probably the first week in October, it sounds like, for the,
Unless you guys want to
Okay.
meet before that? I don't know what today is.
Okay, if the fee schedule isn't approved till the October board meeting, what do? Do you prepare?
You still have
a
preliminary.
contingency?
they're gonna base their budgets on what they're
Suggested.
proposing for the fee
Okay.
schedule.
Okay.
So then if there's any modifications that need to be made, we can adjust our
Yeah,
calculations.
hopefully there
within the
won't be
budget.
anything but minor stuff, if
Yeah.
there is anything.
Yeah. There was one other thing. Well, it escaped me.
Okay. It'll come back, and by the way, it gets worse.
It certainly doesn't get better.
Oh, that's what it was. I wanted to give you guys an update on, hopefully within the next week or so, I will be able to present to the F&P committee the paperless AP proposals. We're supposed to be getting some return on investment calculations and workups for a couple of the vendors that we're most interested in. And so hopefully I will be able to get something brought forward on that.
Right.
I have a technical question. In the past, and this was very popular across the industry, which include, I came out of the insurance industry. You have this big old computer system, it spits out billions and billions of numbers, and then way at the end, there's an Excel spreadsheet. It appeared that last year, that's pretty much descriptive of our process. Is it gonna be the same this year?
Well, can you explain that a little bit?
Well, I mean, everything boiled down to you're gathering lots and lots of information, and then some poor person, used to be Liz, now maybe you, where you have to consolidate everything into an Excel spreadsheet, and on top of that, a lot of the Excel spreadsheet is revised real time, which then leads to things like adding errors and formula errors and all this other junk. So actually, ticking and tying, auditing the arithmetic is actually important. The other end of the spectrum is a really cool hunk of software. And I was wondering what the state of the art was for, by the time we get it,
For budgeting
I think everything that I see in the past budgets was an Excel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a reporting software, which is what we produce our financials out of.
Mhm.
It is part of our accounting software, so it ticks and ties, it pulls it all through. There is a reporting set up for budgeting. In my review of what has been done in the past, it was Excel that was used. The actual budget process is, we download by GL account every line that is out there, so 3,000, roughly 3,400 GL accounts, which they are manually entering right now. Well, that becomes an upload that imports back into GP. But at that point, we are also able to pull it over to the reporting system so that it will pretty much come out just like you see your financials now. Then there will be some more, for lack of a better term, bore down to be able to get a greater detail on some of the stuff. And we can make sure that it ties with the Excel spreadsheet and stuff. The easiest way for the moment, until we actually get it all approved, is probably going to continue having it in Excel. But there's a lot of formulas and stuff where you take out the math, the arithmetic, the hand doing part of it. So I will be able to do a lot of VLOOKUPs and sum ifs to consolidate that information, so I'm not manually adding.
Okay.
Does that kind of answer?
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah, well, generally, the less you have to manually intervene with
Yeah.
all the stuff, the better off you are.
Right.
And not only technically, but in terms of like getting sleep and, eating dinner and
Minor stuff like
taking showers, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
But that module was there all along, we just hadn't been using it properly as I understood it.
I think it was used in the past, from what I can tell. There are different variations of how you can actually use it. So for example, because we were trying to do the zero-based budgeting this time, we exported everything out as a zero. But it does give you the capabilities to say, okay, I want to decrease by 5%. Let me see what that projection is, and so forth. So I wanted to be able to really dive into what our current software stuff offers us before we decide to let's go spend money on something else. I wanted to make sure we couldn't better utilize what we have.
Right.
Doesn't mean it won't become an option or something we want to explore. I just wanted to make sure we crossed every T and dotted every I first.
Seems to make
Okay.
sense.
yeah, very good, thank you.
Excellent.
Okay, as I said, I don't have an agenda.
Well-
Do we have any new items that we want to?
I guess we might as well talk a little bit about the elephant in the room here. The changeover of the treasurer is now in Karina's lap. And we changed the charter of this group so that the chair is now elected by the members of the group. So, not knowing the status of Wayne, who is still on the committee as far as I'm concerned anyway, we need to get that determination made, but we need a new chair. So I think everybody was aware of that, but additionally, and it has been explained to a few people anyway, none of these changes that were made were intended, they were intended to be interim changes to start with. And so there's a move back to get the POA employees more involved, staff in the decision-making process again, in concert with the board and with this committee. So we will have a new policy coming forward on approval processes, dollar amounts, and I just got that this morning, so I will scan that and send that to the committee so that they have time to review it before our next meeting, and then it will be on the discussion session for the next board discussion meeting, which I think is October 12th or something like that. What is,
I
At
can
any
look it
rate.
up, but it's in the October.
Yeah, at the
need my
next
phone for
discussion
that.
session, and then, assuming that it gets through the hurdles, and it'll be for public input and comment during this period of time, so, okay?
Okay.
That's really all I had.
All right.
I've got a strange question. Should I write up a memorandum of understanding? There wouldn't be minutes since it's not official, but does anybody know? I can check
It
with
just, we
Ella.
don't, no, there needs to be
Nothing?
minutes. You just,
Okay.
we didn't take any votes. There are
Okay.
just no votes recorded for
Okay.
today. But you
Put
still
some
should
things
have
down.
minutes
Good enough.
officially, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Roland, did you want to say something to the group, or, okay? Just note, we had a visitor, Roland Light was in the audience, so wanted to give him a chance to speak if he wanted to.
All righty. If there are no other comments, then,
The non-meeting is adjourned.
yeah, I don't even know if we do motions or not.
I don't know, we don't have a meeting.
We never formally called to order, so we really didn't.
Well, you know, we're morphing away from Robert's Rules of Order to
Chaos.
whatever, democratic, whatever. So, yeah, I don't know.
Still the best place in the world to live.
But we had fun today, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Still productive.
Once I got the chia seed out of my eye, it's been a good day.
Do we want to try another meeting in 2 weeks?
Sure.
Is that,
You'll probably be talking with Wayne.
well, that's going to probably be when you're going to need to do the budgeting anyway, isn't it?
Let's see, today's This would be the 6th. Yeah, we are.
2 weeks would be October 6th. Right?
Yes, which some of our meetings for budget go through there, and we have closed that week to complete. So if it's possible, and let me know if it's not, but could we present the budget to the finance and planning on the week of the 13th? Which is 1 week later? I don't know
Why
if
not?
that-
You've got, the next board meeting is October 21, because it's the third Wednesday.
Okay.
That's
Because that will allow
acting chair
them,
over here, so it's his decision
that would allow
You
one
mean I
more
have real
week.
power?
to have real power, yeah.
Oh, good Lord.
If we presented on the 12th, if we had the divisions present on the 12th, that would give us roughly a week to make any final revisions before we present it for the board.
Yeah,
For a rough
that's
draft.
fine with me. I mean, it's basically what works for you.
Yeah.
Well, that first week's gonna be busy, so if we could,
Yeah.
If
It's month
they're
end
pro-
close.
Yeah, if the departments present to you on the 12th, you'd have it ready to present to the F&P the 13th, or you want to get all the
They're
revisions? from
presenting the week before, so we're scheduled all day, the 5th, 6th, and 7th, on top of getting financial close done. So I want us to be able to give them a few days after we go through it to make any revisions before we get it all compiled to present here.
Makes sense to me.
Okay,
So you'll send out a memo and set the next meeting up for the 13th, I guess?
yeah.
I don't know
I
if there's,
I can get the minutes done faster and put it in there, but I don't think people look at them that much sometimes.
yeah.
And how long do you think we're actually gonna need? Because if Charles would like for each division to help with their presentation to this committee, but I don't know how much. You're not gonna accomplish it in 1 hour,
No.
is what I'm getting at.
I definitely have an opinion about that. Last year, I was watching the presentations
Mhm.
to the board, and I don't remember if it went on for 1 full day or 2 full days. All I know is I watched 4 hours in the morning, and I said, I can't take this. And I was stunned that the board could actually go through all of the presentations. My first reaction is, those presentations should be spread out over a long period of time. And, you know, I'm happy if you just give me a whole pile of numbers. And,
Well, I would expect we would try to keep it very short, sweet, to the point, with enough detail that needs to be explained.
So how many division managers will be presenting?
Well, I'm not sure who all they all want to bring in. So for example, Jason, he's got several departments that are underneath him. Some are larger than others. I would think you would probably want to bring in at least 1 or 2 of those. But I would like to also, like I said, try to keep it to just the necessary amount of time that
Sure.
it takes.
Well, why don't you guys discuss it and tell us what you think you're gonna need to do a adequate job to get the support of this committee to,
But we
Feel-
could go longer than just that 1 hour on a
Well,
Tuesday
well,
afternoon.
I mean, I'm thinking
You're not
that
gonna
instead
get-
of starting at 3, we
Yeah.
may have to start like at 1.
Right.
And then-
I just want to make sure that's a
and
possibility.
go until they're, you know.
Well, I think, you know, we just say that's the hours that we have, and as far as this committee is concerned, you know, do what you can to show up, you know, you're getting
I would believe
3 or 4.
if we do our due diligence on the
Right.
front end, that probably from 1 to 4 on a Tuesday would provide adequate time to go over.
Oh,
Then let's
So
just-
that's what,
let's just plan it that way.
Okay.
So that would be the October 13th, we plan on
Yes.
1 to 4.
yeah.
I mean, there's really not too much more coming up on the near horizon, more important than the budget, and getting through that process, so.